Hey everyone, I'm Salo Zayas, creative director of 3 Studios Multimedia, and I'm kind of here just to show you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of the current project I'm working on. So yeah, what I'm trying to do is basically make this look like a rickety truck kind of going down the road. So what I have here is I created this truck over here on Photoshop, you know, and I had it in different pieces, different layers. I have it as a PSD, but then I also separate the cargo, the package, and the wheels because these are going to be moving independently. So on After Effects, after I bring in all my files, what I do is I make the tire so that way the tires rotate as a separate composition. That way, and then I add a rotation keyframe to it. That way it just kind of goes. And it goes kind of steadily. I kind of just let it run. So now that that's pre-composed, I bring that pre-comp right here into the main piece. Now this isn't my final output. This isn't my, I'm only using this as a baseline composition because then I'm going to animate the entire truck. So let's give it a little bit of bounce. So let's first go ahead on the tires and a classic expression. Let's go to the position. Now remember, the reason why the tires are in their own layer is so that the anchor point stays exactly in the middle. Not only when it rotates, but also when I go to do this expression. So hold Alt on the PC and I think Command on the Mac. If I'm wrong, oh well, too bad, figure it out. So add an expression here. We're gonna go to wiggle and then in parentheses 1, 2. The 1 is how often and the 2 is how many pixels it's gonna move, essentially. So let's see this first tire right here. It's moving, it's wobbling a little. So let's exaggerate it a little bit so we can kind of get a little more of a feel. So let's go to 1.8 and see how that looks. There we go. Now it's kind of a wobbly wheel. So now let's copy that expression and bring it over to the second tire right over here. So let's go to position and paste. So now we should have 2 really rickety wobbly wheels. Okay, next thing is the actual body of the truck. When I imported this onto After Effects from Photoshop, I imported the whole canvas, so the anchor point's all the way up here. Now it doesn't make sense if I go to do the same wiggle. You know, if I go to wiggle so the chassis can kind of bounce up and down as well. It doesn't have to follow the tires because you know what? It doesn't really matter that much. So let's go to wiggle, maybe a little more. Let's see what happens. There you go. See, the whole chassis kind of moves like it's on springs or whatnot. So it doesn't really feel super kind of wobbly. It does, but it doesn't. So let's now take this anchor point right here and we're going to move it down. So we're going to shift it so that way the anchor point is more towards the center of gravity in the truck and not floating somewhere. And let's move it down. So now that we move the anchor point to the bottom, this should create a little more of a better feel, a little more natural. There we go. Now it's kind of, well, maybe I should bring it up a little bit more. That way the center of gravity isn't like dead on. Okay, so now that we got the truck looking all wobbly and stuff, so now let's bring in the package. I mean the back of the truck. If I were to add the wiggle expression to the back, it'll kind of wobble from that center point. See, it kind of looks like it's floating there. So let's follow the same thing. We're going to move that anchor point right on down. It still looks a little floaty, but what we need from the truck now is it's got to kind of go forward and back because of the wheels, almost like it's hitting a really bumpy road. So let's go back to the truck, and now we're going to add a wiggle expression to rotation. You can add the wiggle expression to like anything that's got a keyframe pretty much. So let's add a wiggle, same amount. Maybe that's a little bit too much. So now we should have a really rickety, wobbly truck. Okay, so now this is just gonna be the trees in the background. I'm gonna animate it, set a position. 30 seconds is fine because I just wanna give myself enough time. Yeah, that looks really good. So now for the actual truck travel, I'm gonna bring in my trees comp right above, and so I'm going to mask it. So now I'm going to animate my mask path, hit the keyframe right here to animate mask path, and usually I like to follow in the rule of thirds on this as well, where it's every, it's either like, 6, 9, 12 keyframes, stuff like that. Or you can follow 8, 12, 16 or whatnot. I usually try to follow these because it's just a better measurement of time and animation. Okay, so now I'll expand my mask almost all the way up because I want it to be almost like a silhouette right here. So it's almost the illusion of like there's travel. And then I'm gonna turn on motion blur and have it open up like that. Woof, bam, perfect. Now, I don't like this. I hate when keyframes stop suddenly. I think it's terrible. So bam, see, it's like really harsh. I'm gonna right click, go to keyframe assistant, easy in. Now I always go to the graph editor and just pull it up for 100% influence. That way you have a nice come up and it stops really nice. See, a lot more interesting. So when you see the whole idea, the whole concept, and here you go. All right, cool. Thanks you guys for joining me here working on this project. If you guys have any questions in terms of animating or anything like that, feel free to just send me a message. I'm more than happy to help. I'll give you tips, advice. If you're creatively blocked, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you out. I don't care. All right, guys. Thanks for checking it out.